It's Joylyn M. Ross here, teaching artist for Nevada Arts Council, as well as teaching artist for Lifetime Arts. And as you can see from the amazing logo behind me, I am here at the Neon Museum, Las Vegas, here for the open house to share with the community some of the amazing creative aging programs that the Neon Museum takes pleasure, pride, and passion in curating. And as the instructor for the annual writing and storytelling memoir workshop here at the Neon Museum, of course, I'm in attendance to be able to share the amazing values of the writing and storytelling workshop. As a matter of fact, this is the third annual memoir writing workshop here at the Neon Museum. You know what they say, third time's a charm, but it's always been a charm working with the amazing and charming neon writers. That's what the group has named themselves. So I'm excited to be here at the open house and to share the importance and the value, the difference, and the impact programming like this makes in the community here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and in the 55+ community in general.
We're on a team of lifelong learning, and so that includes older adults and people of all ages.
Hello, I'm Melissa, and I am the Director of Lifelong Learning at the Neon Museum. This is my first time getting to see Kaylee talk about this programming with all of these wonderful partners in the room, so I'm super excited for you guys to be here, and very proud of what you guys up to.
Just want to make sure that you guys know who we are, so if you want to talk to one of us about these programs, you know that it's not just me. But yeah, so from there I like to kind of go over who we are, because it seems like a lot of you guys haven't been to the museum. So what I get a lot too from older adults who come on our field trips, who come to these programs is, wow, you know, you guys have a lot of signs. You guys are just the signs. So we have a lot more than signs. We've updated our mission in the last few years to really reflect the collection that we have that's growing. Right behind me, there's this mini exhibition of the other types of artifacts that we have in our collection. Everything else that you see outside is going to be neon signs. There's about 300 out there, more than 250 for sure, and there's 30 restored signs. So you'll see those this morning, they're on, and I always like to say, you know, daytime neon is its own experience. You know, so as you can see, right, driving into Vegas, the signs that stand up to daytime, they just have a different artistic kind of style to them. So we kind of have a lot of different artifacts, and we see our signs as portals into stories. And that's kind of where the basis of our older adult programming started, was, you know, every time I give a tour, and every time our tour guides, you know, every night give tours to older adults, we all agree, we hear, oh, I remember when this happened. You know, oh, I worked at the dunes and I was a busboy and then I moved all the way up, you know, and then they're just kind of telling me, almost they're like Las Vegas origin stories on these tours, and that's where a lot of these ideas came from. It was just, they're already telling us these stories. We should celebrate them, we should amplify them, and that's our mission too, is to kind of show that evolution of Las Vegas, and not just the 50s, you know, bright and glimmer, which I think a lot of people kind of associate the Neon Museum with. But we really start from indigenous history to now, and we want to collect those stories. So that's really why we have decided that we have to be the place for creative aging. Our collection is so inherent, you know, to these conversations of the past. So we do something called creative aging. It's not something we came up with. It's a museum kind of term for programs that are designed to aid anyone that is aging. You know, I love to take creative aging programs. And often these programs, they're not capped at a certain age range. So that's a question I get, you know, what counts as an older adult at the Neon Museum? If you think you're an older adult, you're an older adult, you know? And I get a lot of even, you know, you can just call me senior, honey. Like, I'm a senior. I say older adult because that's a term in the museum world that's used a lot. Just trying to stay away from stigma. But if you guys use senior, that's totally fine. I use them kind of interchangeably. But creative aging is kind of this process of aiding someone's cognitive abilities and their physical abilities through artistic expression.
I will say this, this program that, some of the programs we're gonna talk about today, but particularly the Memoir series with Joy Lynn, one of the things that we have found through research here specifically in Nevada and specifically in Southern Nevada is that we have a large number of people moving from other areas that are coming here because of cost of living. Well, that's great because their dollar's gonna go further. The downside is there's a lot of isolation, and which leads to depression. They don't have their friend network that they had beforehand. And so those are components that we believe through this program, this Memoir workshop, and led by Joylyn, that is really combating both depression, isolation, and because of the nature of writing out each week your memories, if you are a housewife and mother talking about just your, what happened to your 17-year-old when they did X, Y, and Z, and we don't want to talk about it, but writing that out, that's helping with that memory process and helping to pull those things together. So we see so many benefits that come from this program. And again, as I said, we're very proud of our K through 12 program. We're equally as proud of our older adult program. So one of the things that I was really proud of, unfortunately, the federal government flipped the script when we had so many cuts given to SNAP and EBT and things of that nature. But I was asked by the Nevada Chair of Health and Human Services to come up and talk specifically about this Memoir series program, because we are talking about depression, isolation, and cognitive ability, and that museums can play a role in making a difference in everyday life. And hopefully through this 6-8 week program, you're building some relationships. You're also being vulnerable. There's so many intangibles, and again, that we're working to measure, so that we can show. But as a result of, again, the shift in narrative, we weren't able to give that speech at that time, but that doesn't mean it's not coming.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
But that's great. I love your passion. Thank you for that.
Doing a tour, but if it's under that, then it's a small enough group that will just do a traditional tour. And then we have some optional activities, scavenger hunts, discovery guides, even word searches, crossword puzzles, things like that, if any senior wants to do that. And then caregivers are always welcome.